Well, hello there. How are you on this fine summer day? I felt like that it's just been such a wonderful, warm, cool atmosphere that I thought we should do something a little bit more sophisticated than I like to do on these type of things. So I'm going to do my first ever classy vlog. Pinky's up, after all. I learned that one from SpongeBob. Anyways, we're going to fit this one right in between your nights at the opera and your drinks of fine vintage white wine. Of course, I'm talking about none other than the classy artist, Weird Al Yankovic. Yes, that's right. Weird Al Yankovic is out with a new album and it's called Mandatory Fun. And we're going to have just that today. It's actually water, I have to go to work soon. But that doesn't take away from this. Anyway, Weird Al, in all seriousness, deserves to be talked about because he received his first #1 album in 30 years as a musical artist. And that's a big deal because a #1 artist in comedy hasn't happened since the 60s. Think about that. Since the 60s, there hasn't been a comedy album that tops #1 on Billboard's charts, and it comes to Weird Al. It's a pretty big deal in my book. So let's talk about the man, the myth, the strange Weird Al. Okay, so his actual name, if you didn't know, is Alfred Matthew Yankovic. He was born October 23rd, 1959. He's better known, of course, as Weird Al. He's an American singer, songwriter, and parodyist. He is also a movie director. I recently watched his debut film, UMH. It's pretty good if you haven't seen it. It's a really classic Weird Al thing. So if you have a love for Weird Al like I do, and you want to see something Weird Al's in and directed and put music on a soundtrack for, then definitely check it out. He likes to make light of cultural issues and, of course, parodying very popular songs at the time. He sold 12 million records and is the most famous parodier of all time. One thing you may not know about Weird Al is that if you know Weird Al, you know he's the guy that parodies Michael Jackson. He's got Fat, he's got Beat It, Eat It. So, with all these things, Bad, Michael Jackson was a huge, like bigger than probably you, Weird Al fan. And that's the truth. Weird Al loved Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson loved Weird Al even more because he actually let him use the site for Bad as the same music video scenes you see in the Fat music video. It's actually the same spot because Michael Jackson was such a big fan of Weird Al that he actually let him use it because, well, why not? When you love something, let it do what it wants. And Michael Jackson only turned him down once because the issue on White and Black was much more serious and he didn't think it was parodyable. But in truth, Weird Al admitted he thought that was a blessing in disguise so that nobody would think of him as just the Michael Jackson parody guy. And he's also been turned down by Prince over and over and over again. So if you hear in the new one his word crime song, you shouldn't use words, spell them with number unless you're 7 or your name is Prince. Just a jab at one of his fellow Prince. In fact, Prince was actually told not to even make eye contact with Weird Al at an awards ceremony once with the Grammys. And I don't know, I find that interesting. Anyway, we're going to go into this because this is Weird Al. He was born in Downey, California and raised in Linwood. Straight out of Linwood, anyone? Linwood, California, of course. He's the only child of Nick Louis Yankovic and Mary Elizabeth Yankovic. His father was born in Kansas City, Kansas, and is of Yugoslavian descent, and living in California after serving in World War II. He's believed to be the key success was doing a living of whatever makes you happy. And of course, that's what Weird Al did. And one of the funny things is his parents actually encouraged him to use the accordion as his instrument, which is something you wouldn't expect from a parent's, hey, let's do the accordion, guitar, drums, let's, the things that'll be successful in life or get you something from the ladies. Nope, let's do the accordion. Anyways, I think it's interesting. And one of the big things is he was a huge fan of Elton John and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, which is partially how he learned to play the accordion. And that was major inspiration to him. And of course, he's done Elton John parodies since then. We'll get to that. He was actually the valedictorian class speaker for his senior class. I would love to have heard that speech. Anyways, when he started off, his first thing was on the Dr. Demento show. Yankovic was actually a Southern California comedy radio personality on Dr. Demento's radio show. If there hadn't been a Dr. Demento, there probably wouldn't have been a Weird Al. So, thank you, Dr. Demento. Anyway, his first song was Belvedere Cruisin'. Of course, his family's famous Plymouth Belvedere was on Demento's comedy show, launching Weird Al's career. He said to all the people in the radio studio that you need to sign this guy now. And so that's what they did. They signed him on a temporary basis, and then it took off from there. Alright, so let's go through the album. I've got my little rundown that I like to make. So this album itself is, well, I don't know. This may seem like a weird place for me as a reviewer because I do things that are more, what's the word? Not strange, silly, because I do strange things all the time. But I guess parodies. I'm not usually a parody guy, but I've really, truly been a Weird Al fan my entire life. He's really just, a part of my childhood. And that's one of the things that he even mentions himself as a critical point. When you're trying to review Weird Al, it's like, you never think any of his albums are going to be as good as the one that you heard when you were 12. And that's funny because it's true. I always think back and I was like, oh, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to top Poodle Hat or Running with Scissors. Those were my things. Those were the ones that I listened to when I was that age. So it's like, I don't know if he's ever going to be able to do that. And the truth is, I don't think he quite does live up to that hype. And it's nothing to do with the fact that it's not worse of an album. I just think that nostalgia is never going to break. When you're such a huge fan of something, that nostalgia actually is the reason that you can't get past it. And maybe it was better material, but I doubt it. I really do. I think I'm just so nostalgic like everybody else. Another thing I find interesting is when you really examine Weird Al, he really writes in a very pattern-oriented way. It's usually 12 or 11 tracks, usually. It's 5 parodies of popular songs, 6 style parodies, and a polka medley. Of course, it varies, but that's what it is, and that's what he uses here. So we start from Handy, of course, a parody of Iggy Azalea's Fancy. First song on here, it's the most recent parody of the song. It's actually still in the pop charts. Right now you hear Fancy on the radio all the time. So it's fitting. It actually may be one of the worst parodies he's done in a while because it really isn't funny. But give him credit, though, because the video is, I think it's entertaining. The video is entertaining as hell, and the song is catchy in the way that he makes it listenable, because it's an absolute piece of crap before. So thank you for making a song I hate actually listenable, because now I can sing I'm so handy every time that comes on and I want to hurt myself. Lame Claim to Fame is the next one. It's a style parody on Southern culture. It's dorky, and I didn't fall for it as much at first, but it's really grown on me because when you really listen to it, it's got an interesting 21st century name-dropping culture next to a stall that's pooping next to Jonah Hill, and just things like that we do in this culture that it's like, oh, thanks, Weird Al. Anyway, the next one is Foil by Lorde, and some people, I don't know, Royals, of course. The song is Foil. Some people didn't think it was a good song in the fact that it takes a weird twist at the end, but I actually loved it. I thought that was classic Weird Al. He does this perfect food parody because that's what he, fat, eat it. He does a good thing with food. He knows how to make a parody on food. So it's about food, sort of. In a way, it takes a government conspiracy direction at the end that some people didn't like, but I loved it. So anyways, one of the good songs here, I think. Sports Song is a style parody of college sports, of course, and this is a song that I wish I could have known about in advance, so every time I get into a discussion where people talk sports around me, that I could just do this instead of using my sports ball jokes. He kicks the sports ball through the sports direction and they score sports points. Yay, sports team. Sort of like that, but in a way more intelligent, interesting way, because he's Weird Al and he's more clever than you and me. Anyway, Word Crimes is the next song on here, and thank you. Thank you, Weird Al. I'm actually one of the people that would be yelled at for this, but I still appreciate it as amazing. I try, but my Facebook posts are not as grammatically correct as they should be, thanks to my grammar Nazi friends for pointing it out. So every grammar Nazi friend out there, please check out Word Crimes, the Blurred Lines parody, because it's great. It really is. I wish I could just... Every time, this is just great. I can't even get over it. The video itself makes it even better, and it's just so hilarious. It really is. Because everything he says is dead on and it's clever. The words are absolutely, they make the song flow better. His version does, I think. And I think the song and the music video helped push this album to number 1 because this song is such a catchy and fun thing. It really did. I think this was one of the major ones. Between this and Foil, pushed it to a number 1. And it doesn't help that he did his 8 videos a day concept on his marketing of this album was absolutely genius because it was on all the news networks, it was on all the social media sites talking about Weird Al, and it went crazy. People went watching him every day. It was viral, and it was great, and people wanted to buy the album after they saw the videos, and he made a super successful album that went #1. What can you say about that? My Own Eyes is a Foo Fighters style parody. In fact, I actually thought it was like an actual parody, and because of how similar it sounded, until I realized it didn't actually, have an actual melody a Foo Fighters has written before. But it is a style parody that fits really well. It is funny. It just doesn't stick with you enough when you're listening to it. The rest of the album is better, so it's easily forgettable. Of course, song 7. We get to the polka. This is now that's what I call polka, which of course is a perfect title for this. And as far as polka medleys are concerned, they're always some of the best songs on the album. And in under 5 minutes, he covers like a third of the top 40 in polka fashion. How could you not love that? The songs are instantly recognizable. He goes through Wrecking Ball, Pumped Up Kicks, Best Song Ever, Gangnam Style, Call Me Maybe, Scream and Shout, Somebody That I Used to Know, Timber, Sexy and I Know It, Thrift Shop, and Get Lucky. How could you not love that? Mission Statement is a style parody of Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And at first listen, it actually comes off as a really clever, funny original Weird Al song, like some of the better Weird Al originals. The Night Santa Went Crazy, Everything You Know Is Wrong. But anyways, after the first listen, I thought it was pretty clear that this was actually a song I would never listen to again because it's just not that funny. It's too long, unfortunately. It's a little too long. But we go from there to Inactive, which is, in my personal opinion, the second best parody on the album. Again, Weird Al right in the place he wants to be. He opens with, I'm waking up in Cheeto dust. My belly's covered with pizza crust. It's a fat, lazy song. He's done it before, and he kills it again like he kills it then. Just great. In fact, they actually helped him, and Imagine Dragons came in and helped him record the song and actually recreate some of the sounds from the song itself, which is pretty cool. First World Problems is the next one, is this Pixies-style parody, and it's an unbelievably spot-on parody, and it sounds exactly like the Pixies, and it's definitely an amazing 21st century problem. It hits us where we feel it, in our Starbucks coffees, our Wi-Fi issues, and every American middle-class problem you can find. It's great. The video's even better. Check it out. From there, we get to Tacky, which is another parody of a song that probably shouldn't have been parodied, even though, it's not that the song wasn't a perfect choice because it was. It was on the radio every day. It's that it wasn't a perfect choice because it's so simple lyrically that it's tough to parody. He does his best with Tacky, and it works as a parody, but it just isn't funny as much as some of the other ones because, well, there's not much you can do with it. We don't pick the songs that go up and become popular, so there's not much he could do with the chosen material. Jack Black twerks his way to make the video entertainable, but that's all you can do with that one. And then we get to The Diamond in the Rough, the closing original, Jackson Park Express, which is a Cat Stevens style parody. I absolutely love this song. It's great. It's typically the last song is the best one, and this one follows that. It's a true song and closing an album like Albuquerque has in the past. It's 9 minutes long about a romantic relationship that exists in Weird Al's head. I don't want to ruin it. That's just all. Just check it out. The album has its problems and its hold-ups, but it's impossible to not have fun like you would expect. Like, have fun or else. And you gotta love it. You just do. Not every song stacks up to the past albums, but some do, and the ones that shine really do. I mean, Foil, First World Problems, Word Crimes, Jackson Park Express. It's a solid entry. Seriously, check it out. Right, I'm going to sip my way a little bit of water here and finish this up. So, definitely a 4-star album. Check it out.